Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Right, without further ado, let's get stuck into the session. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. And oh, that's great. Yeah, okay, fine. That's reassuring. I'm probably just being a bit paranoid with a few issues last week. Great, that is reassuring. As we're getting stuck into this session, there's a few things that are up in the air. So we're now in the Fed blackout period, and we've got tariff uncertainties circulating around the markets. We've just had some news that the Indian trade team coming back from India saying a deal with the US is likely by September, October, so not August. I remember Donald Trump last week was saying, very close to an Indian tariff deal. So big picture zooming out, there's tariff trade deal uncertainties in the background. Fed's in the blackout period before their meeting coming up. And if you look at pricing, short-term interest rate market pricing, the market sees the Fed making their first cut in October and then a second cut for December. So 2 rate cuts this year seen from the Fed. And if you look at the Fed's dot plot from June, right, they're seeing 2 rate cuts as well. So market pricing, Fed expectations are pretty much aligned. But just note the unemployment rate, they saw at 4.5 for June. And the last unemployment rate was, I think, 4.1 or 4.2. So the market's stronger than, unemployment stronger than the Fed were expecting, which just takes a bit of pressure off the Fed needing to cut interest rates. Now, looking at sort of general market sentiment out there, the first thing that's notable in the FX space is the Japanese yen is significantly stronger. Now, the reason is for the yen strength is due to some election issues that took place in Japan on the weekend. And essentially, the yen is due to the exit polls in Japan showed that the coalition government failed to secure the seats that they needed to retain a majority. Now, that meant that PM Ishiba is no longer controlling a majority, but the fact that Ishiba has made it clear he's going to remain the Prime Minister, that's been viewed as a positive for the market. Now, I'm not thinking this yen strength will necessarily continue, but it's what's pushing the yen higher, and that's partly pushing the dollar lower. So in terms of like intraday FX setups, intraday traders can look at dollar yen selling. Now, implied volatility levels you got here at 14682. So I've got those implied volatility levels marked in. So a retracement up to that level here is suitable for shorting, and stops can be placed really super tight just above that S2, because that gives you the implied volatility level plus the S2 pivot point. And then that's obviously the ultimate target. Whether we get there or not, I'm not sure. But that's the next pivot standard deviation point, right? Now, I think the thing to look for on a setup like this is trend line breaks on a sort of bear flag. So the thing to look for is this kind of thing. So you got drop, pull back, and then go with the breakout to the downside. A little bit, like what we've seen here earlier in the session. Pull back, breakout, go with it. Drop, breakout, go with it. So looking for the same kind of setup, right? And that's dollar yen intraday. And that's it. Now, the other outlook that I continue to look for is silver longs. Now, we had that head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And we're looking for a target up at that 38.63, which is the extension of the head. So that's the head, the height of the pattern from here to there. So you're looking for a move from here to there, pretty much hit target really. So that would be a take profit area. I'm happy to keep building in. I've sort of used this pattern as to build in another long position on silver, because I just got this sort of structural bias for upside in silver. So I'm just going to carry on with that. But just wanted to note that technical pattern, this head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. and notice when it broke out, on balance volume was pushing higher. So everything was like good, technically good. The head and shoulders is in the correct area from a reversal level and from a major support level. So everything kind of made sense with that outlook there in silver. So just happy for silver longs to carry on. Also initiated some copper longs on a pennant breakout in copper. Right? So copper pennant up, pullback, breakout, on balance volume higher. So happy to go along with this. And copper was a little bit boosted overnight with news that there's a Chinese infrastructure project that's going ahead in Tibet, big hydropower plant. So that's been touted as the reason for supporting commodities this morning. Aside from that, looking at stock markets, generally firmer US equity futures market, but we just had that negative news about no deal out of India. China being boosted on that infrastructure project, volatility sort of flattish, but could go either way really. Looking at the bond market, have seen a little bit of bid coming into bonds. You can see that across the board. So bonds are generally bid this morning. Gold, silver, copper, iron ore, all those commodities seeing a boost. Look at that big reversal, hammer reversal in Brent crude, and you're seeing hammer reversal in WTI as well. So that reversal pattern. Oh, hi Adair. I'm glad you managed to get signed in okay. Good to see you. Apologies for any inconvenience you've had. Support will get onto you. That sort of reversal area, we know that there's different drivers for WTI and Brent crude. Obviously OPEC threatening
to be aware of. EU will be making the UK pay to join the €150 billion defence fund, according to reports in the Financial Times. So there's a boost to British businesses from contracts run through Safe Project to require London to make financial contribution.
Gold enjoying a nice boost as well.
Looking further into the details, there's no that Britain will have to pay the EU a percentage of the value of any weapons bought from UK companies via a Brussels-led defence fund, under plans being drawn up by the bloc to counter the growing threat from Russia.
Yeah, and here I'm just on the weekly chart, there's a bullish piercing line pattern with the open below the previous close, and then the close of that last week's candle above the 50% retracement level. So that was a big bullish piercing line level, and gold just making its way higher at the moment. Folks, that's kind of what's going on in markets. Dollar just pulling back, and dollar weakness is the general theme at the moment, but there's no particular drivers on the US calendar today. Housing data will be looked at this week. That's what's being touted around markets, but otherwise very quiet on the calendar. We're in the Fed's blackout period, so not very much chat coming from the Fed. And earnings, big names earnings coming out on Wednesday with Tesla and Google. So they're the big name earnings. These are the earnings for today. Nothing massively to move markets, really ramping up from Wednesday. I'll be interested to see Lockheed Martin, obviously a big defense stock. So it'll be interesting to see what they're looking at, looking forward with so much conflict around the world. Wouldn't be surprised if their earnings surprise markets. Looking at the time price opportunity, we're heading into an area. Seen price found a little bit of balance just under that R1 pivot point. You can see price moved up to that R1 pivot point, found a bit of balance, sold off. We've now moved into that point of control. If we get underneath this value area low, I wouldn't be surprised to see more downside. But otherwise, price is looking at opening above value area highs from a few previous days, 1, 2, 3, opening within the range of Friday. So kind of there's still a bullish bias, but if we get underneath this area, right, then if we get underneath this area, then we could potentially look at selling. Otherwise, we're looking for buyers to step in, particularly here, this pivot point, value area low. So just like 3 or 4 points from where we currently are. So get back down to this area. I was looking to buy in at this sort of 6340 region before the open, but I pulled my orders just because of the India trade deal news. Because if you look at it, you can just see here that buyers here have trapped sellers. We've had a little pullback, a little buy. Cumulative delta is just waning. Look at the hourly chart. Cumulative delta is positive, These are the trapped sellers down here. This is the area I was looking at. Well, I was looking, if I go back down to this area here, the 340, happy to buy in a little bounce. I'm less happy now because of that India headline, and obviously there's sensitivity towards trade deals. Looking on the 15-minute, you can see we've got some sellers here and sellers there. We've got a couple of value areas and developed value area high, and price sort of stuck in the middle between the two. So drop down here, and I'm looking to buy, get back above here, and particularly above this area, get back above that 6353, then I'm happy to buy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the open. For now, just kind of happy to stay on the sidelines, but a buy bias is really what I've got. So we'll see what we get at the open. Apart from that, just check my notes. Anything else to mention? There's a bit of EU and US trade fears that are sort of lingering around, whether they're going to get a deal done. And the EU's meeting China and the ECB are meeting this week. So there is a little bit of jitters out there in the market, I'd say. Apart from that, so it's going to be tariff headlines probably that's going to be the big drivers today. So as it stands, I'm looking to buy in from that 6337 area. I'm going to ignore price stuck in the middle of this range, and I'm wanting to go long if I get opportunity, if I get breakouts of this area. 6347, if I get a breakout of there, I could potentially look for longs. The last lot of sellers were here. That takes me to 6356. So in just terms of a clean buy-in, I'll take a 6356. All right, just going to buy that clean. Otherwise, what I'm going to look for is sellers getting trapped and looking to go long. So let's just look at this, see how it goes. I'm going to buy in one position there, because I've got the first evidence of some sellers getting trapped against the first standard deviation. You see the first standard deviation, we haven't quite hit it, but it's not too bad. You've got buyers trapping sellers there potentially. So let's see.
So not really one that's too market relevant at this point, but a lot of people just covering the Fed has added some footage of a video tour of its headquarters renovation project to its frequently asked questions page on its website. Again, it's more of a political angle than anything. It is, however, just worth noting there is a financial stability conference going on at the Fed over the next few days. Powell and Bowman are due to appear tomorrow at that conference, although we're not expecting anything in terms of monetary policy from either, given the Fed is on blackout ahead of that 30th of July confab.
That's what I was thinking, Najim, isn't it? Yeah. Was it the marble or something? What was it from last week? I don't know. So coming up to a 15-minute close, we kind of got this rejection bar up here. So we've got a bit of a rejection. Now it's on the 1 minute, and we have got buyers trapping sellers here on the tick chart. It's not very convincing though. It's difficult because it's still quite high up, isn't it? Let's have a look. So we've got the 15-minute close. Right, I'm gonna probably look at exiting this. Let's have a look. I just don't. Let's see. It's still a sort of buying area. Got this bit of a rejection from the top area, you see. Now I've moved to the standard deviation. Got those. So you got those buyers trapping the sellers here. So I want to see these buyers defend this here. On balance, one continue to drift lower. It's tricky, this one. See if buyers come in here or not. And that was a bit of a move. Looked like a headline. See if we can get nice. We can just get above this area. Come on. Yeah, okay, that's nice. I think I'm going to take that off here. See, maybe get a bit more out of it. It does look nice, Najim, doesn't it? It's a bit of conviction to it. Got 1 minute breaking out here. See, looking like we're breaking above the high, so that's good. It was a nice bit of volume, wasn't it? Right, I'm just going to take it off. Just see if I can get back up a little bit. Let's give it a second. Trail up underneath the point of control, that's the way. Right, I'm going to take it off. I'm happy to get back in if we get another pullback. So that's what I'm going to do. That was a nice flag pattern, wasn't it, really, Najam? Just happened very, very quickly, didn't it, that breakout? Up, pullback. Oh, nice. Well done. Yeah, very nice. Nice one, Najam. What was your rationale for getting in on the nice one? Yeah, okay. So Najam's little flag, breakout, nice volume. Very similar to what was going on in the mini. Move up, volume C. Happy to buy in that for the test the standard deviation. It was a bit slow, but you can see here buyers trapping sellers against that level. And that was the entry. It was here, tip chart, buyers trapping sellers there, entered long. Had to sit through this. But price, when it did broke out very, very quickly through that flag pattern. We went from there to there in about a few seconds. Yeah, it was, like actually in 1 second, we had about 1,000 contracts there.